Am I deliberately standing further away so I can show off my Genium Dragons football t-shirt? Yes, you are correct. But also today we're going to be talking about some autumn reads I am looking forward to. So autumn ends in about a week's... autumn starts in a week's time, I think. September, October, November, that's autumn, right? I'm pretty sure that's autumn. I'm not 100% sure myself, but I'm pretty sure that's autumn. Autumn, fall, same thing. So I'm going to give you a couple of books that I'm looking forward to personally reading this autumn. And yeah, why I'm looking forward to reading them. First up is We'll Prescribe You Cats. There's a reason behind this. So this book, if you go off and research this book, look at the blurb, it's about a medical facility where you can only go there if you are experiencing certain, feelings and conditions, and they give you cats to prescribe you to make you get better, to get over things, to improve yourself. And what book does that really sound like? It sounds like Before the Coffee Gets Cold. And I don't know when this book was written, I don't know when it was published, and I don't know if the publishers were like, Before the Coffee Gets Cold is a banger, we need similar books like that. That's what happens, kind of with the whole YA fiction dystopian stuff. When the Hunger Games was popping off, you got Divergent, you got Maze Runner, you got all that kind of stuff. But this book has a very similar feel to it. And Before the Coffee Gets Cold is a book I associate with cozy, emotional reads. I read the Before the Coffee Gets Cold books mostly in the winter time, just for no specific reason, just kind of the times I was reading the books happened to fall over the winter. So it has that very cozy feel, very heartfelt, emotional feel, which I kind of associate with autumn anyway. The trees, their colours are changing, the weather's getting slightly colder, everyone's bundling up a little bit more. So that's why I really associate autumn with coziness, with comfort. You start eating slightly richer, more heartier foods, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere at the very least. So this just feels like the perfect kind of book to be reading at that point in time. If you want a little bit of a cry, if you want to get into it, that's kind of what that's the vibe I'm getting from whenever I look into this book. We Will Prescribe You Cats. Completely switching up the mood, I'm looking forward to reading Between Existentialism and Marxism by Jean-Paul Sartre. There is a specific reason for this, that I want to read this book, but I'm not going to reveal that to you guys for another month, just because I need to figure out a couple of things before I reveal it, so I'm not like, haha, I lied. So I'm not going to do that. But also, again, autumn kind of feels like the kind of time, I guess because, going back to school was always an autumn thing. I kind of always associate autumn with kind of academics and, the door rang. Hey, talk of academics, my HSK level 1 books turned up. But yeah, I associate the autumn with school, education, learning and all that stuff, and I guess starting to read more philosophical works, books by philosophers, is kind of a good step for that. Obviously, I've done cursory research into Sartre and a bunch of philosophers, and I think this is a case of me going off and reading individuals who I'm not necessarily going to align with, who maybe even their values and beliefs aren't things that I believe and I agree with, but because it's meant to be for a more academic reason for reading the books, I'm gonna have to read them and kind of understand their thought processes and kind of their conclusions, so then I can kind of form my own conclusion off of that. If you wonder why I'm saying that, you should check out my video that went out last weekend, which I'll link above, and the importance of doing your research into the individuals you're reading, especially if you're going to be promoting them. And finally, again, a very different book, The Undercover Police Scandal. So if you're not in the UK, basically, our police were working undercover, and much of the time the police were basically coercing or convincing these women to be in relationships with them, very long-term relationships, not 6 months, years, decades of a relationship. and then they were trained to just drop these women. And it caused serious mental and psychological anguish to these individuals, and then it all kind of came out in leaks and stuff, and people were saying, oh, that I did this as a police officer, and now there's investigations and public inquiries and all that stuff from the Met Police, well, not just the Met Police, the police in general, the government trying to kind of sweep it under the rug, and then the individuals, particularly these women mentioned in this book, fighting back and being like, no, we want actual justice, you coerced us, we were young at the time. These are people who weren't necessarily doing like anything wrong, and even if they were doing anything wrong, what is the government to justify that? These were mostly people who were like activists, who were part of like environmental groups, and the police were infiltrating, going in undercover, and truthfully, like, just taking advantage of their position as police officers, being able to do investigative work into these individuals' lives, and then using that to kind of manipulate these people into getting information, whether it be their family, their friends. I saw an interview with one of the victims, and they were saying, somehow he, knew I was going out with my then boyfriend, and then took advantage of that and emotionally manipulated me to be more with him, to spend more time with him so he could get more information out of her. And like, it destroys these women's trust, if for 10 years someone has, coerced you, used you for information, is just all of these things, and then all of a sudden they were trained to just write us a letter being like, I'm gonna kill myself, and then leave, and you never hear back. And that mental anguish of that, someone who's been in your life for years, and they send you this letter saying, I'm gonna commit suicide. What are you gonna do about that? It's crazy. And this is a book that kind of is going into it, these women explaining what's going on, the impact it's had on them. It's now a documentary on ITV, but also you can go off and do more research into the scandals. It's crazy, and again, it shows just how the police, their purpose is never to protect the people. Their purpose is to protect capital, to protect what the government and their donors want them to protect. Obviously they're going for like environmental groups and human rights groups because their donors, their corporate backers, don't want these groups getting mass popular support, and so then the police are their tools. So those are some books I'm looking forward to reading this autumn. The latter two kind of like, not like the first one. The first one because it's cozy and emotional. The other two because I just have been kind of into those things. Not into them. I'm not into police manipulating people. I have been reading and looking into those things as of late, and so I thought, oh well, going into the autumn, I spend more time reading in the autumn than I do in the summer anyway, so it's a good opportunity for me to pick up these books. Let me know in the comments down below what books you're planning on reading this autumn time yourselves. Obviously this is an extensive list of books I'm going to be reading, there's just a few of them, but thank you for watching. I want to say a special thank you to my members. Members get additional videos. They get to be part of a book club. In August we read Kitchen by Banana Yoshimoto. They will be getting a review of that coming out imminently, actually, or maybe it's already out. I don't know. I need to schedule these things. If you are interested, you can join from as little as £1 a month. Their support is really, really, really handy and really grateful. I'm so grateful for them, and I'm grateful for you for giving this part of the video. Thank you for watching. To like, subscribe, and share the video with a friend or family member. And I hope you read a great book today.